don't even know it, but your money is already gone. And what's worse, you can't get it back. This isn't some hypothetical what-if scenario, some distant fear that only affects others. This is happening to you right now. What you've been told is safe is actually the most dangerous thing you can hold on to. The cash you've been holding tight to, thinking it's a lifeline, is quietly bleeding you dry. But here's the kicker. You're not even aware of it. And by the time you wake up, it'll be too late. You've been sold a lie. You think you're playing it safe, but what you're actually doing is setting yourself up for ruin. Let's start with a simple fact. Inflation, a term we all know, but a concept most of us don't fully grasp. The inflation rate in 2025 is hovering around 6%. But this number, this official statistic, is just the tip of the iceberg. When you really look into it, when you understand how the system manipulates these figures, inflation is much higher than they admit. Every year, the purchasing power of your cash slips away, slowly, stealthily, and while you're sleeping, it's getting worse. Imagine this. You have $10,000 today. Sounds like a solid amount of money, right? But in a year, that $10,000 will only have the same purchasing power as $9,400. In 5 years, it'll be down to around $7,700. And that's just with a 6% inflation rate, which is considered moderate. Think about it. In 5 years, you'll lose nearly 25% of your money's value, and you won't have a thing to show for it. No product, no asset, no gain, just a slow, invisible leak draining your wealth. But here's the worst part. This isn't a one-time hit. This isn't a single blow to your savings. This is a continual erosion that compounds over time. Inflation isn't just a force of nature. It's a financial weapon that's designed to make you feel like you're okay while you're actually being destroyed from the inside out. You might think, I'm safe. I have cash. I've saved up. But do you know what happens when you sit on cash? It disappears. It might feel like security, but it's actually a trap. What people don't understand about holding cash is that it's not neutral. Cash is losing value every single day. And yet, most people are still obsessed with keeping it. They hoard it like it's some sort of shield, but it's more like a sinking ship you refuse to abandon. The idea that cash is king is one of the biggest myths in finance. Cash doesn't grow. It doesn't do anything. It sits there, stagnant, eroding by the second. You're playing with fire the moment you choose. Cash as your go-to, your default. You're already accepting a future where your money means less and less. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that everyone else is doing the same thing. You're a part of a mass delusion. People are so afraid of making the wrong move that they do nothing. They keep their money in a savings account or either under their mattress or in a checking account, earning 0.1% interest. But here's the truth. Not doing anything is the worst thing you can do. Here's the math. If inflation is 6% a year, but your savings account is giving you less than 1%, you're already losing ground. That small, seemingly safe choice to leave your money in cash, it's costing you every day. The psychology behind this is deep. Fear, comfort. We've all been told that cash is safe, that it's stable, but that's a lie designed to keep you compliant, to keep you from questioning the system. Let's talk about mental models. What happens when you only think in terms of short-term safety? What happens when you ignore the bigger picture and get comfortable with the idea that the only risk is losing everything in one catastrophic event? You miss the subtle, invisible risk that's quietly eating away at your future. Opportunity cost. Let's break this down. Opportunity cost is the real cost of the decision you're not making. It's the lost potential of what you could have done but didn't. By holding cash, you're missing out on opportunities for growth. You're sitting still while the world moves forward. You're watching the value of your money shrink while others around you are getting ahead. Think about it this way. If you're not growing your money, you're losing it. Even if you feel like you're just holding steady, you're actually falling behind. The world around you is changing and it's moving faster than you think. So let's look at this from a different angle. You know how you think inflation is just a number on paper? Well, it's not. Inflation is real. You feel it in the grocery store, in your rent, in your utilities, in your gas prices. It's real and it's affecting your life. But let's think about this on a deeper level. What if I told you that you're not just losing value to inflation? You're also losing something far more critical. Time. Time is the daily ultimate asset. And when you let your money sit idle in cash, you're letting time slip away. The longer you wait, the more damage it does. It's like watching your car's gas tank slowly empty, but instead of filling it up, you just stare at the needle dropping. So let me ask you, how long can you afford to do nothing? How long can you afford to watch your money disappear piece by piece, day after day? The answer is simple. You can't afford it at all. Here's the real truth. Holding cash is the riskiest thing you can do. It's a trap. It's a slow death by 1,000 cuts. It's not the safe choice. It's the dangerous choice. If you're still convinced that cash is the answer, let me ask you, what happens when inflation hits double digits? What happens when the dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency? What happens when the value of money starts to plummet? You're left with a pile of paper that doesn't mean anything. But this isn't the whole story. Cash isn't the only thing you've been misled about. We're just scratching the surface here. Before we go any further, I want you to really think about the following question. What does safety really look like? Is it the comfort of holding cash? Or is it the discomfort of making hard decisions, of confronting the reality that the world is changing faster than you realize? It's easy to ignore the problem, to pretend it's not happening. But that's exactly what most people do, and they pay the price. Your money is already disappearing. The only question is, how long are you going to let it happen before you take action? Let's talk about the illusion of safety. You're told over and over again that holding cash is the safest thing you can do. You've been trained to think that risk is out there in the world of investments, in the world of uncertainty. You've been sold the idea that safety equals stability. But what if I told you that what you've been led to believe is safe is actually the most dangerous place to be? Let's break it down. There are only two ways to think about risk: volatility and uncertainty. Volatility is the fluctuation in the value of an asset or investment. It's the roller coaster you see in the stock market, where one day you're up, the next you're down. It's a market full of motion. Uncertainty, on the other hand, is the absence of knowledge. It's the unknown. It's the fact that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and we're not even sure if we have control over our future. Now, here's where things get interesting. Cash is volatile in ways you're not even seeing. Inflation is eating away at its value at a rate that's far faster than you can compensate for. And if you think you're safe because you have a cushion of cash, you're ignoring the reality that this cushion is shrinking every year. The real question isn't about whether or not you're facing risk. It's about whether you understand the true nature of that risk. You think cash is the safe bet, but it's actually a false sense of security. Let me give you a more vivid picture. Imagine you're walking on a tightrope. Below you is a deep, dark pit filled with sharp, jagged rocks. You're focused on your balance, on not falling into that pit. You might think, if I stay still, I won't fall. But here's the thing. Even if you stand still, gravity is still pulling you down every second. You remain on that tightrope. The earth beneath you is growing weaker. and your grip is loosening. It's not about the risk of falling. Right this moment, it's about the fact that if you're doing nothing to move forward, you're already falling behind. The trap of comfort is where most people get stuck. It's the "I'll wait for the right time" mentality, the belief that someday when the world settles down, things will be better. But the truth is that moment never comes. This fear of making the wrong decision keeps you paralyzed, but while you're sitting there, frozen, the world is moving forward. Inflation is moving forward. The value of your money is moving backwards. If you're waiting for the perfect time to act, guess what? That time will never come. And as you wait, your money continues to lose value. The biggest mistake you're making right now is not making a decision. By doing nothing, you're committing yourself to a future where you're trapped. This isn't just about money. It's about your future. You might be thinking, but what about the stock market crash? What about the next economic collapse? What if things get worse and I lose everything? And here's where the fear really starts to kick in. The fear of losing everything becomes so strong that it paralyzes you from doing anything. You see the market's ups and downs and you tell yourself that cash is the only answer. You tell yourself, at least I'll have something. But that's the same thinking that got us into this mess in the first place. It's an illusion of safety, and it's eating away at your future. Let's talk about the psychology behind this. Why do we act this way? Why do we hold on to cash as if it's some kind of lifeline? It's simple. We're afraid of loss. The pain of losing something is greater than the potential of gaining something. It's deeply embedded in our brains. It's why people are afraid to take risks. It's why most people will never make the decision to move forward with their money. Here's the kicker. By holding on to that fear, by refusing to act, you are guaranteeing your loss. You're stuck in a mental loop that's keeping you from moving forward. Your fear of losing is actually causing you to lose. Slowly, painfully, but inevitably. And yet the most dangerous part of this is the illusion of time. You think you have time. You think you can wait, but you don't. Every year you delay, you're costing yourself more and more. And before you know it, it'll be too late. This is why reversal thinking is so crucial. When you change your perspective, when you think backward, when you ask, what happens if I do nothing? What happens if I wait? You'll see it for what it really is, a slow death. The longer you wait to take action, the worse it will get. And just like in nature, in economics, and in your personal finances, entropy is inevitable. Left unchecked, things naturally tend to fall apart. When you keep your money in cash, you're leaving it exposed to entropy, the natural decline of its value. What's worse is that you're doing nothing to counteract that decline. Imagine watching a beautiful house fall into disrepair. At first, it's small cracks in the foundation, a little peeling paint, but over time, the damage gets worse. The roof starts to leak. The walls begin to crumble, and now it's too late. The house can't be saved. That's exactly what happens when you ignore the erosion of your wealth. You think, I'll fix it later. But by the time you try, it's too far gone. You can't catch up. This is where most people fail. They wait for the right moment, and by the time they're ready, the moment has passed. The economic environment changes. Inflation continues to rise. The value of their savings keeps declining, and all they have left is regret. Here's the simple truth. You've already lost. That money you're holding on to, it's disappearing slowly but surely, and if you don't do something about it now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. You might feel safe right now. But that's the biggest lie. Cash doesn't protect you. It just makes you a sitting duck. Now, let's dive even deeper into what's really happening here. You're probably starting to feel the weight of the situation. The fear is creeping in. It should be. But let me ask you, why are you still waiting? You're waiting for the right time, for the perfect opportunity show. But the reality is, that moment will never come. The longer you wait, the more you lose. And by the time you realize it, you'll be left holding the remnants of what could have been your future. Why is that? Why do so many people fall into this trap? Psychologically speaking, it's because we're wired to avoid pain. We avoid taking risks because we fear the consequences. We'll follow the immediate loss, the disappointment, the potential embarrassment. But here's the kicker. The real pain comes from the losses you can't see. You are so focused on the visible risks, the stock market crashes, the economic downturns, the obvious losses, that you ignore the far more dangerous invisible risks eating away at your savings. It's the hidden erosion, the slow, silent destruction of value over time. Here's where most people make the fatal mistake. They think waiting is the same as protecting. Let me make this clear. Not acting is an action in itself. Inaction isn't neutral. When you do nothing, you are actively making the decision to lose, slowly but absolutely. Now let's talk about compounding. It's a concept that most people have heard of, but few truly understand. The way compounding works is simple but powerful. You either grow your wealth exponentially or it decays exponentially. You've heard the phrase, the magic of compounding, but what they don't tell you is that compounding works both ways. If you're not taking action, if your money is sitting idle, your losses are compounding just as quickly as any gains could. Let's look at the cold, hard math. If inflation is 6% a year and you leave your money in cash, you're essentially losing 6% of its value every year. That's not just a small amount. That's an annual compound loss. Over time, this loss accelerates. Let's say you have $100,000. In 5 years, that same $100,000 will only have the purchasing power of around $74,000. In 10 years, maybe $50,000. All the while, you're just sitting there holding onto your safe cash. Do you see the trap now? It's a compounding decay, a slow burn that erodes your wealth. Until one day it's all gone. And the worst part, you won't even realize it until it's too late. Here's the most important thing I need you to understand. The longer you wait to act, the worse it gets. The longer you ignore the reality of inflation, of opportunity cost, of compounding decay, the harder it will be to recover. It's like standing in quicksand. The longer you stay still, the deeper you sink. The moment you decide to act, to move, to stop waiting, you can begin to climb out of it. But if you wait too long, you're stuck. It's over. Now, let's talk about opportunity cost. This is the real killer, the silent thief that steals from you every day. When you're sitting on cash, doing nothing, you're giving up opportunities for growth. You're choosing the illusion of safety, but in reality, you're losing out on everything else. Opportunity cost is simple. It's the cost of the opportunities you miss by choosing the path you're on. Every time you sit on cash, you're saying no to all the other options, all the other paths that could lead to wealth. You're locked into a false sense of security, all while the world around you is moving forward. What do I mean by this? You're sitting in a car with the engine running, but you're too afraid to put it into gear. You're so obsessed with keeping the car stationary, you don't realize that the road is already moving forward. And by the time you decide to drive, everyone else has already passed you by. Inaction isn't just doing nothing, it's actively giving up your future. It's choosing to stay in a state of stagnation when everything around you is moving at full speed. Let's face the truth. Most people wait too long. They wait for the perfect moment to act. They wait for certainty, for guarantees. And because they're waiting for certainty, they get nothing. They miss out on the compounding benefits that can come from acting now. The irony? The longer you wait for a safe moment, the more uncertain your future becomes. You're betting on a stable future, but what you're really doing is locking yourself into a spiral of declining value. And let's talk about entropy for a moment. The law of entropy, which says that things naturally fall into disorder, is a concept that applies perfectly to your finances. Think about it. Your cash, by nature, is decaying. It's not holding steady. It's slowly losing its purchasing power. That's the effect of inflation. That's the effect of doing nothing. Time is your enemy. If you let it, time will wear down your wealth, your opportunities, your life. And at some point, you'll realize that the money you thought was safe is now worth less than half what it was. So how do you break out of this trap? How do you avoid falling into this slow, painful decline? It's simple. Start moving. Do something. Stop waiting. Take control of the situation before it gets worse. You have two choices, act or stay stuck. But understand this. Staying stuck is a choice, and it's a choice that guarantees you'll lose. The reality is the world isn't waiting for you. Time doesn't wait for anyone. The sooner you act, the sooner you stop this invisible erosion of your wealth, the better off you'll be. But the longer you wait, the more you'll regret it, because in the end, the money you think you're holding on to, it's already gone. This is it. The final warning. You've heard the truth now. Your money is already disappearing. The damage is already done, and the question is no longer if your wealth will erode. It's how much you'll lose before you finally take action. You've been told that holding on to cash is the safest thing you can do, but we've already established that it's actually the most dangerous choice. It's the slowest, most insidious form of destruction. The risk you don't see is the one that'll destroy you in the end. But here's the harshest reality of all. The consequences of inaction are irreversible. When you look back in 5, 10, or 20 years, what will you wish you had done? Will you regret not acting sooner? Will you regret clinging to that false sense of safety while your wealth shrank away? It's not just about your money. It's about your future, your family's future, your legacy. These are the things at risk, and you might think you can just keep waiting, that you can fix it later. But let me make this painfully clear. Later is too late. You can't go back in time. The money you've lost through inflation, the opportunities you've missed, those can't be recovered. The longer you wait, the more irreversible the damage becomes. Every year that goes by, it gets worse. And when you're finally ready to act, the world will have changed and the opportunity you missed will be gone forever. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that you knew, you've been told, you've heard the truth, you saw the warning signs, and yet here you are, still waiting, still holding on to that false belief that everything will be okay. It's human nature to resist change. It's easier to do nothing than to face the discomfort of taking action. But the problem is, by doing nothing, you are making the biggest mistake of all. You are choosing to lose. It's like watching a slow-moving disaster unfold and refusing to evacuate because you believe it won't hit you. You tell yourself, I'll be fine. But in the end, the disaster doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care about your plans. It just keeps moving forward, leaving destruction in its wake. This is the uncomfortable truth you need to face. You are already losing. That your money is already slipping through your fingers. And the longer you wait, the more you will lose. That time is not your ally. The more you hold on to cash, the more it erodes. The more you procrastinate, the worse it gets. So what do you do now? The first step is simple. Stop pretending everything is fine. Stop holding on to this illusion of safety. Stop clinging to the idea that doing nothing will protect you. It won't. It's a lie. You have to act. You have to confront the reality of inflation, of opportunity cost, of compounding loss. Do something, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels risky, because right now, inaction is your greatest risk. Here's a simple question for you. How much longer are you willing to wait? How much longer are you willing to watch your future slip away? One small erosion at a time. At what point will you finally realize that the cost of doing nothing is far greater than the cost of taking action? The time to act is now. The longer you wait, the greater the price you'll pay. Remember this, you've already lost. The question is, how much more will you lose before you finally decide to make a move? If you're still holding on to cash, if you're still waiting for the perfect moment to act, you are only setting yourself up for more loss. It's time to break free from this cycle. It's time to act, to stop the invisible destruction, to stop wasting time. Because if you don't, you're guaranteeing that your money will disappear, slowly and quietly, until there's nothing left. The warning is final. You've been warned, and now the choice is yours.